It's easy to forget, but even the greatest, most talented athletes are actually only human. So even if there are the best of the best, things still do go wrong sometimes. But that does make it so much more entertaining for everyone watching. For your viewing pleasure, here's a collection of those moments that embarrassed athletes would rather forget, but that we can get a good laugh out of. Ready to see them? Let's get it on! Ah, the joy of scoring a point. With all that hard work and dedication finally paying off, it's understandable that you'd want to celebrate, so go for it. Just don't forget that there are still other people standing around you, because you might not just be punching the air. And if you're going to accidentally hit someone, never ever let it be the referee. I would love to know more about how the rest of this game went, because that ref walks away way too calmly and laughs it off with a smile that's just a little bigger than it should be. That's a casual revenge plotting smile if I ever saw one. Good luck for the rest of the game, guys. You're going to need it. You also might need to sleep with one eye open from now on. Most of us are probably familiar with the feeling that the universe has turned against us. You know, things are going great, and then suddenly your luck turns spectacularly bad. This university runner got a little bit too familiar with that feeling on the final lap of his 800-meter semifinals race. He's in precisely the wrong spot when the pole vaulter competing next to the track snaps the rope off his apparatus. You don't need to be a professional athlete to know that running with a rope wrapped around both your legs is going to slow you down. He quickly goes from being out in front to, well, not being in front, and just a few steps away from the finish line. Luckily, the officials did come to tell him that they'll allow him into the finals race anyway, which should be a good thing, but you know that's gotta hurt. You just have to marvel at the control and accuracy these professional sportsmen have when playing with a ball. After all, it's not like that ball's a part of their body, it's just an object. Yet those talented people seem to be able to get them to go exactly where they want them to. Well, most of the time anyway. Sometimes they execute a throw in a way that makes them look just as incompetent as the rest of us. There will always be someone who suffers for a poorly executed move in professional sports too, but the photographer probably never imagined it would be him. On the other hand, there's definitely some kind of ball-oriented accuracy going on. It's just not the right kind of ball. Got him! Have you ever met someone who's really good at one thing and not good at anything else? Like maybe they can paint really well but can't count, or they're a great runner but can't catch a ball, or let's say, just as an example, I'm definitely not thinking of anything in particular, maybe they're a great basketball player but they're no good at simple social interactions like high fives. Well, this kid witnessed that firsthand when John Collins smacked him in the face instead of just high-fiving the people with their hands out. Yes, John, the kid's face was almost in line with the other people's hands, but not just any body part is suitable for high-fiving. I know the phrase is "gimme some skin," but it's not just any skin. They actually have to hold out their hand. To be a successful diver, you don't only need skill and agility, you also need a certain amount of grace. Like a dancer, your body needs to be perfectly positioned if you have any hope of a good score. So when these beautiful, elegant dives turn into something that looks like this, it won't just be their backs that are left stinging, but their egos as well. It's really gotta hurt falling that badly on international TV. It's also very, very funny. You can actually see the moment these top athletes realize that it's all gone wrong, and there's nothing they can do to save it. One guy even goes as far as putting his arms out above his head in the hopes that they'll lead him into the water when he's facing the wrong way. It's a beautiful sight, but definitely not in the way he'd hoped. We all know the feeling when you've worked really hard and got really good at something, only to have someone get in your way. It's always annoying, but probably even more so when you're already moving at breakneck speed. This athlete found herself face to face with a broom in the middle of the track and just had to keep going. Well, there aren't any brakes on those things. While it's unclear whether this is down to very, very bad planning or general stupidity, probably both, she's gotta be furious, and you just know someone's going to get fired. We'll call that a silver lining, and she'll probably sweep them out of the area with her new broom that she found. When it comes to the world's biggest sporting events, if you want to survive, you can never ever get complacent. You've seen how the top athletes never give up on even a single point, so if you're playing tennis at the Australian Open, you have to hit the ball every time, especially when it's flying toward your groin. It definitely looks like this player's given up, but this really wasn't the rally to do that in, as he quickly found out. I mean, at that level of tennis, you should really be able to block that shot. It should be the first thing you learn at tennis practice, actually. Maybe he just panicked, which I guess is understandable. Oh well. We've all heard the phrase fall at the last hurdle. It describes the disappointment you feel when you've come a long way and crossed some difficult milestones, but you just can't quite make it. But what about falling at the first hurdle? At the Olympics? That's probably a very different kind of feeling. Not so much disappointment, more total embarrassment. It's not clear exactly what happened here, but it is clear when watching the replay that he doesn't really even come close to getting his foot over the top of the hurdle. He just puts it straight into the center of it, and momentum takes care of the rest. Props to him on finishing the race though. Most of us would probably have just sat in our flattened hurdle for the rest of eternity. The amount of planning and preparation that goes into these big sporting events is really impressive. For example, Wimbledon Tennis Championship employs an amazing 6,000 people to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and the players can perform at their best. Surely with that many people there, nothing can go wrong, except they forgot the automated sprinkler system. Maybe it's kinda nice to have a brisk, ice-cold shower in the middle of a tennis match, but it's probably best if you warn the players first, even just so they can stop all their stuff from getting soaked. One thing's certain, the guy who opted to put his foot clad in an expensive leather shoe on top of the sprinkler and just stand there is a really fast thinker, and some kind of modern-day hero. Or he was until the backed-up water exploded. Professional sportsmen have to have almost superhuman control over their bodies. Us mere mortals can only dream of being able to do the things they do. They never do dumb things like tripping over nothing, right? Well, maybe not, but apparently they can hit themselves where the light doesn't shine. Now that's not something you'd expect to see a pro golfer do, but it's happened, and thankfully it was caught on camera. This isn't some amateur tournament either. It's the Sunshine Tour, the international golfing tour held in South Africa for the world's best, so this really is unexpected. Honestly, it's almost impressive. It seems an impossible thing to do, but there you have it. When you're a top-class athlete, you can bring yourself down with a groin shot that the rest of us could only dream of executing. When you watch any sport that makes use of an object, it's always impressive to see just how much control those athletes have over them. Like when a tennis ball lands right in the corner or a footballer curves a football, and none of us could pole vault. And again, it's international level sports. They should be able to do that. They shouldn't be almost killing themselves with those poles, well, until they do. Anyone watching this live can count themselves lucky that they didn't witness this guy being skewered to death and instead got a good laugh. But he should thank his lucky stars, not because he avoided death, but because he still has something to fill his shorts, judging by the position of the hole in them. This isn't the sport where you'd expect something like this to ever happen. Never take your eye off the ball. There's a reason that phrase entered common language. It's just true. It doesn't matter how sure something looks, just don't turn your back, because you might have just missed the net. But if you do presume you've got that point and turn away from the action, don't do a little cocky and hilarious celebration jig while your teammate scrambles to rescue the point in the background, especially not if the cameras are on. This really is a beautiful moment. First the fist pump and a gesture that can only be described as a mic drop. And never was there ever such a perfect dance for a totally uncalled for celebration, backed up by carnage as the point slips away. Even he has to laugh about it. You're probably pretty good at your job, right? Even really, really good. But have you ever messed up? Probably. Everyone has stories like that. We can't be blamed. We're only human. The only difference between us and professional athletes is that we're not being filmed when we mess up. In a fast-paced sport like basketball, people are bound to fumble sometimes, just like the rest of us. Most of us don't mess up with such spectacular comedic value, though. He stumbles, he falls down, and then the ball hits him in the face. Classic. Most comedy writers can only wish to be able to write a joke as effective as that, and he did it without even thinking about it. The man's a genius. Maybe not in his chosen profession, but still, credit where credit is due. Most of us have experienced moments where things just turn against you. Maybe your cat bit you yesterday while you were feeding it or something. It's that moment where you go, well, that was totally uncalled for. That's fine, but there are moments when you don't want that to happen.
No, God!
Like in the middle of a professional hockey match. This guy went to so much effort to set up that shot, and then his stick just decided it wouldn't allow him to have a victory. Nobody's reporting on what he did to that stick to make it so angry, but something must have happened between them before the match. Or maybe the stick was secretly a supporter of the other team and decided to infiltrate the match. It's not something you see every day. Some might argue that sports are all about vanity. I say there comes a point in your professional career where you simply don't have the time to care about your appearance when you're in the middle of competing, as this Nigerian athlete proved. Or not. Maybe she did care, but there wasn't much she could do about her wig flying off on the landing of a jump like that. The thing that really must have hurt is that she went through all that and then still only came 7th, so it was hardly worth it. Either way, she probably won't be wearing a wig to a televised event again anytime soon. Psst, hey, you still there? Well, since you made it this far, here are all the shoutouts we promised everyone that commented on our previous video. If you want to be shouted out in our next upcoming video as well as the ones prior, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a comment down below saying, "Pick me." Once you're at it, you might as well leave a like too.